better. And honestly, I've learned more about product thinking from them than any textbook ever taught me. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Becoming the Product. I am Naya, your host as always. And if you're new here, this is where we talk about what it really means to become the product, building proof, growing in your craft, and designing a career that is both sustainable and fulfilling. Today's episode is personal and is a little bit reflective. You've heard me talk a lot about my role managing incubation programs. But what I haven't really shared is how much that experience has shaped me as a product thinker and builder. So, this episode is about that. What founders teach me about product thinking. Because when you spend your time with early stage founders, when you watch them pitch, you watch them iterate, you watch them panic, rebuild, repeat, you realize that product thinking isn't just a framework, it is a mindset. And that mindset is gold. So I currently work with founders at NeedHub as an incubation manager. NeedHub is located at Unilag in Lagos, Nigeria. And these founders, sometimes they are brilliant, they're scrappy, and sometimes they are chaotic because they're trying to understand their ideas a little bit more and bring it to life. A few months ago, when I just started and I was listening to some of them pitch, you could tell from the beginning that they really didn't know how to really sell their problem statement. They were so focused on maybe just the designs and maybe just the pitching, but they really couldn't tell the story because their product idea was great. Like you could understand where they were going with it, but their problem statement was everywhere. They wanted to solve everything for everyone. You see with so many features, you see so many stuff. And you can actually call that a classic founder energy because that is how some founders actually start because they want to do everything for everyone. So what we now try to do, or what I try to structure my programs around, is understanding who your real users are, what the core problem is, what the simplest version of your solution could be to validate that idea that you have. And by the end of it, majority of them are like, oh, okay, I understand my problem state better. I can do an elevator pitch better. I can talk about my target audience a little bit better because of all these things that we've implemented. And it reminded me of when I first started learning product management. There was one of the first master classes I attended, and the person spoke that as PMs, as product manager, one of the greatest things you have to do is to provide clarity. And that was literally what I tried to do with the programs I'm setting. And some of these founders literally say, oh, this is product thinking. And I'm starting to understand my product a little bit better, like I mentioned before. And this kind of stuck with me because sometimes as PMs, we kind of forget that clarity isn't just the outcome. It's a discipline. It's something that we need to imbibe. We need to always make sure that that's what we are trying to do. And watching from how those founders got from confusion to clarity reminded me of why I really like what I'm doing right now. And if there's something that founders do really well, it is prioritizing. Sometimes it's by force, not by choice, because like I said, they come with so many features. They want to do everything at the same time. But we try to limit them or try to put them into perspective that you can just start with one, then reiterate them, use the feedback you get from your users to decide the next steps, the next feature to release and all that. And really, they don't have like unlimited budgets or teams. They have to really make tough calls. These are the early stage founders. And honestly, that is where real product work happens. As PMs, it is easy for us to get lost in frameworks, to get lost in those templates and sprints. But watching these founders and trying to put myself in their shoes reminded me that product thinking is really just about answering one question. What matters right now? What is that one thing that matters right now? What is that one thing that we could use to validate the idea? What is that one thing we could use to test out this solution that you think can solve the problem you've identified? In incubation, we've seen some founders, after the programs, after they've been trained, now try to limit all the features they kind of wanted to build before. Or some of them even change their business models. Like, okay, we can't do freemium all the time. We need to add some kind of tiered pricing and rework because they realized that what they were building did not align with what the users actually needed. And that's something I've carried into my own work, especially with building this new side hustle. And I'm trying to test out PMaaS, product management as a service. Before adding features or framework, I'm asking what is essential? How can I create clarity for a founder before we even talk about tech? So if you're listening and you're building something, whether it's a side project, a business, or your career, try these founders' mindsets. Prioritize for clarity, not for comfort. Another thing that nobody really tells you about founders, especially the great ones, is that they are storytellers. I've seen some of the pitches and you can tell there's no soul in it. Like, you can't empathize, you can't relate because there's no story behind what they're building. And the successful founders who are great storytellers, they can actually sell a vision long before the product exists. They can get investors to believe, they can get users to trust, and they can get teammates to commit. And that is why I realized that storytelling is product strategy. I sing it a lot. I'm sure if any of them listen, like, you need to be able to tell a story about what you're doing. It's not just about the pitch deck, it's not just about the branding, the pitch deck, it's about communicating why something matters, communicating why I would want to drop all that I'm doing and listen to what you want to solve. Why I will drop all the alternatives I'm currently using to solve this problem you've identified and move with your solution. Even as a product manager, your ability to align a team or get buy-in depends on your story. How clearly you can connect the dots between problem, product, and proof. And that is a big part of what I teach in my mini courses. Courses like Build Without Permission and Side Hustle Stories help you turn your experience into clear proof. The same way founders use stories to attract users and investors. If you want to check them out, I'll leave the links in the show notes. And the last lesson, and honestly, it's the one that really keeps me grounded, is that founders build with what they have, not what they wish they have. They don't wait for perfect conditions or a perfect plan. They just start. I've seen some people build, especially if you look at all the old founders, not even those in my incubation program, now people that started with maybe Google Sheets as MVPs, WhatsApp groups as community hubs, and Canva as UI mockups, and still make real progress. That is product thinking in motion, validation over perfection. It is the same mindset I've been applying in PMaaS. It's the same mindset I learned at my previous job, where validation was always important. It wasn't just about you building that big product, but shipping the smallest item that you could use to test that idea and validate that there's actually a target audience for the solution you're trying to build. And building in public, testing offers, and iterating as I go, it's the mindset I'm trying to imbibe, not just in myself, but also in the founder that I'm trying to train. Because this is the work that proves your concept. And if you're wondering where to start, the answer is simple. Start small, document the process, share what is working and what is not working. That is how you build proof that compounds over time. And honestly, that is why I'm excited about the Product Dive 2025 happening this December 10th, 2025 in Lagos, Nigeria. It is the biggest tech and product conference in Africa, bringing together founders, PMs, engineers, designers to talk about growth, AI, and execution. There will be sessions from leaders at Microsoft, Wise, Rhinest, and MoneyPoint, plus hands-on labs on topics like AI product management, execution excellence, and industry-focused workshops across fintech, edtech, SaaS, and more. It is one of those spaces where clarity meets community. As an ambassador this year, I'll be documenting the journey, not just promoting. So if you're attending, let's connect in person. The link to the registration will be in the show notes, or you could follow the Dive Africa Conference on Instagram for updates. So here's what I wanted to take away from today's conversations. Founders are not just building startups, they're building proof. And every product manager, creator, builder can learn from that mindset. Prioritize what matters. Tell your story clearly. Build with what you have. And remember, clarity is your real currency. If this episode resonated with you, subscribe to my weekly newsletter, Proof Notes, where I share more behind-the-scenes lessons from incubation. You could also grab a mini course if you're ready to turn your story into structure, or send me a DM on LinkedIn. If you want to talk about PMaaS and how we can help early stage team find clarity before the chaos. And if you will be at the Dive Conference 2025, come and say hi. You can send me a DM on LinkedIn. Let's connect, let's learn together. And thank you so much for being on this call, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Have a great week.